Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave Sports and Entertainment original presented by Prize Picks. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It is Friday with Mina Kimes. Mina Kimes, what's going on?
Hello. I know we're going to talk football, but I feel like it would have been on brand if we had started with 20 more minutes on Duolingo, which is what we were talking about before.
Yes. Try to learn these languages. I'm telling you, man, my Spanish is starting to get a little cracking over here. You know what I'm saying? I can speak it when I'm not sober. And I think that that's an important step in the process.
Would you speak it, though, in a recorded medium in public?
It would depend on the context.
Okay.
Like, you could get me, like, at this point, like, I could try to do the thing. It doesn't work in recording because people got all the tricks. But, like, if you spoke Spanish and I wanted to say something to you and I didn't want the regular people to know what I was talking about, I feel somewhat confident that I would be able to do it in this context. It would just defeat the purpose because all these people would do was, like, run it through some kind of AI snitching machine.
I have extreme performance anxiety when it comes to speaking other languages that I'm learning. And it's kind of like dancing for me, where I do not like dancing with eyes on me, but I love dancing in a wedding surrounded by people. If I'm in the country and I'm just like, all right, F it, I got to get by here, then I will roll out my Korean. But if I'm like we were talking about this in Los Angeles at a Korean restaurant with a bunch of white people at dinner, I'm not going to try to speak in Korean just for the waiter to look at me like I'm a 3-year-old at a restaurant.
But what if in that setting, like, I don't know what the Korean version of, like, throwing up a fist, like, you know, like this between us right now. I need you to understand that I see you and you see me. I would like to think that could kind of go down, you know?
I just know Sean Yu is listening to this and has probably very strong opinions about what the Korean, it's probably like making a tisk tisk disapproving sound, whispering "aigu" under your breath. I don't know what the Korean signifier of, like, I'm one of you is.
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, that I can see where you're coming from on that. Like I said, my buddy came over here the other day. Like, we speak Spanish with each other as a matter of practice. I was on fire, boy. Like, I was out here making it happen. I was out here using words that I ain't think was words. I wasn't sure it was words, but I figured it was words. You know, like, I was in the pocket. Like, that's the best way I could put it. I was in the pocket.
Are you sure? Again, when certain substances are involved, I think I'm the best dancer in the world.
Oh.
Like, the next day I'm like, damn, if only I always had moves like that at the wedding. I was killing it. Like, and then if I ever saw video of it, I'd probably be horrified. That
is fair. I think this is maybe the best way for me to put it. I just said that I was in the pocket, and then immediately thereafter had to look up how to say pocket. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's I can get in there. I can make it, like, and I think getting in the pocket is more important than anything else. What I've learned with Spanish is what reminds me of English, right? Like, you know, sometimes people say things in English and you were like, oh, I misunderstood you. It's not because they use the wrong words. It's that the truth is we are not actually listening for every word. We're lazy motherfuckers, man. We just getting the vibes, figuring it out close enough, and then we go from there. And you gotta, once you get in the pocket in Spanish, that's what you be doing. You know, you're just like, I don't need all the words, but it's a little dangerous because you might miss the one that matters.
Yeah, that's so true about, like, our brains don't actually, like, when we're reading, for example, we're just kind of looking to pick up a few words and signifiers, and then we kind of synthesize in our brain very quickly. And that, I feel like when you're doing a different language, that comes to, like, it becomes very obvious very quickly. Right?
Yes.
You're like, oh, I am sounding out all these words. I am trying to figure out how they go together. I'm trying to understand the grammar. It's very tricky. I think you should work up to doing a little segment in Spanish on this very program.
That could work. I don't want to scare the people off. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be my concern. What I'm curious about is, like, and I had never really thought about this until right now. You know how the fellas love a girl that speaks Spanish?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It does the thing. Does
the number
it work
one language,
the other way?
I feel like that works. It's like the British accent for women. I feel like.
Oh, that's what it is? Well, damn,
yeah.
I ain't got nothing for you. And hey, that explains that fucking Stringer Bell.
I was literally
like somehow he launders his evil via historically the most oppressive accent in the world. Ain't no accent ever put more people under chains and colonization than what Stringer Bell talk like.
When the actors like on HBO shows, they didn't do this back then, I feel like, but when they speak English actors they're playing an American role, and then they do like the post-credits interview with them. This always happened with me with Succession, where after they'd go to the actors and then they'd be speaking in their British accents. I always found that to be the most unnerving thing in the world. Like, but also you're like, oh wow, is he hot now? Like, is this guy hot? Not that Idris Elba ever needed help in that department.
Well, you need to get to The Wire season 1 then if you haven't done it already, because McNulty, he gets very Scotch very often in season 1. And it always makes me wonder how many times he tried and they was just like, nope, he can't do it today. Right? This is just the best that we're going to get. This is the best take we have.
I did watch season 1. I don't remember that, but I'll have to go back and rewatch it.
Yeah. He's going back through all of that. But you're on to something. Like one day, and I'll say this last thing as we talk about these languages, I feel like other people go through this, so we're not losing you guys. You know what I'm saying? We're just being relatable to you. The key, at least I figure to me, is once you start picking up enough tenses, now everything changes when you talk. Like when all you can do is speak in the present tense, man, your bag is incredibly limited. And then you throw in the past and you realize there's a lot more past than you thought they were. They're not all called the past, but it's a lot more past than you thought. I just got the future in my bag. I got to get the conditional in, because then once I get the conditional in there and I can start talking about the hypothetical space, I feel like I got all the vectors, right? Like if the language maps out into a plane, you've got the present tense, you got the past tense, you got all these like 5 or 6 vectors, and then I will be able to basically speak according to an entire universe.
All right, so the real test for you then will be going on some sort of Spanish-speaking sports programming. I don't know what that is. I don't know. There's got to be like a Mexico-based NBA or NFL show that you can go on.
The difficulty, though, honestly, with the sports part is it's so niche that it only comes up with so much in these lessons. So my teacher, who is an incredibly worldly woman, like she has me believing that we need to step our education up to the standards of the Colombians, because I am blown away by the cultural dexterity and like the historical range of things she knows and everything else. I'm like, man, we ain't doing it. Like you on Zoom telling me how to talk Spanish, right? Like how is this even going on? But yeah, I need to get her to give me a few more tricks, because. And I will say, anytime I try to explain something like playoffs or something like that, she hits me right back with a word.
There's a Spanish word for playoffs?
Yeah, she knows the Spanish word for all that stuff. She's like, when she gets to talking about the soccer and the coaches and the culture around it and the players she be getting mad at.
Yeah.
And she's also very well versed about Tupac.
It sounds like she should come on the podcast, to be honest. I would
yeah. Actually, it's funny. I asked her about how good her English is, because it sounds great when she's talking to me. The rare time she uses English when talking to me. And she said that for her, like watching movies and stuff in English is like it feels for me right now in Spanish, which is standing in the middle of a freeway and the cars are coming at you. And I was just like, wow, you play it off so well.
How often do you do these classes?
2 times a week.
2 times a week. So, and they're in like an hour or what?
Yeah, 1 hour.
Do you ever stop to think you probably talk to this woman more than like 99% of...
Yes. It is dawned on me. It is dawned on me. I don't know how well I know her, but I feel like she knows me, quite honestly, a little better than she should.
This feels like the beginning of a romantic comedy. That's all I'll say.
It does. But she would, I mean, it ain't like I'm her only client, right? Like it's a wide range of people. Because look, the Spanish teacher just asked you, what'd you do today? What you been up to? And I am amazed. I feel like she remembers some of these details better than my therapist. I feel like my therapist just be playing along.
You might not feel like maybe you're not her only client, but do you feel like she likes talking to you a little bit more than I'm just saying.
I mean, I don't know how much of that is el ego, pero sí. Yo pienso que ella... I already forgot how to say enjoy.
No, it's good.
Yeah, ella me diverte.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
She likes you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Le gusta sí. Diverte. Sí. Yeah, I got it right.
I wonder how many language teacher relationships are opposite gender. I feel like
that's a good question.
Yeah.
But I think also, particularly for a woman as a teacher, with a man, I think that you can glean a little bit more, like if you wanted to. Like, no, I don't think my Spanish teacher is checking me out, but you could glean more. And I mean that in the sense of, how do you react to this isn't going the way that you want it to? How
Yeah.
receptive are you to feedback? Like, what is your willingness to keep trying? How do you respond to a challenge? You know, those sorts
I
of
do
things.
think there's a vulnerability too that's required to learn a language, and sometimes that kind of dynamic is a little bit better for creating that safe or
Yep.
that space. So
But nah,
what are we talking about?
I would love to know what she thinks of all these different people that are
Yeah.
beaming in from all over the world for her to teach us Spanish.
It's got to be like the widest range of like casuals, business people, people who married someone. Because because it's all adults, presumably. I'm very interested in learning more about this woman, and just I would like to hear. You should have her on. That's all I'll say. Let's do it.
Yo necesitaba un reto. Sí.
Look at you rolling your R's.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, boy. Let me tell you this, boy. Don't let me find out they like it, boy. I'm gonna be hell on wheels. I'm gonna be unstoppable. I've been hitting these weights. I got different languages. Pooh, boy.
Based on Love Island, women do like it. That's my only test case there.
Although, as I will tell you, as I've told people before, my buddy Terry, got to remember what his uncle told him one time. You can do whatever you want because you think women like it. Because let me tell you what women like. Anything. They like men with no shirts. They like men in uniforms. They like a bad boy. They like a responsible man. They like a God-fearing man. They like a man who thinks for himself. Women like everything. Everything.
That might be a good transition to the question I want to ask you about
Fire
Ben
away.
Johnson.
Yeah, Ben Johnson, the guy who let Jameson Williams throw a pass in the most important game in the most important moment, and now the head coach of the Chicago Bears.
So, first of all, I think I know you're upset about him as a Lions fan. So I think you're a little bit in your feelings, maybe, with regards to his viability as a head coach. I think he'll be a good head coach. I also, there's no way of knowing he's going to be a good head coach. I always provide this disclaimer. I mean, who knew Dan Campbell would be Dan Campbell? Nobody, right? That said, I was very struck by one thing watching all these videos of him now with Chicago Bears. He's giving the speeches, doing the press conferences, and we do our best to kind of unpack a man's leadership abilities based on these snippets. I was struck by the fact that he looks like a completely fucking different person without a hat.
Yes, he does.
And so I made this observation. I was like, damn, I've never seen this guy without a hat. He looks like Kirk Cousins, honestly, a little bit, but he just looks totally different. And a woman, Aisha Morrison, who covers the Cowboys, was like, yeah, this is extreme hat fishing. So I didn't know this was a thing where if a man looks totally different when he doesn't have a hat on, sometimes women feel misled because maybe you're on the apps or whatever, or you only see this guy with a hat, and then suddenly you meet him and the hat's off. But the thing is, it's not like he was hiding anything. He has a normal head of hair or whatever. But I didn't know hat fishing was a thing that men do. Is this something, do you think men do deliberately? Are you familiar with this phenomenon?
Well, it's some partners that's always got hats on. And they generally always have hats on for the same reason, right? It's not like James Harden before he got his grill fixed, and so he grew that big old beard, and that kind of like took away attention from the fact that his shit looked like Herbie Hancock was going to work. Like it was just all over the place, up and down. Hey, look, I used to have virtuoso piano grill myself, so I understand where he's coming from. But it's normally it's hairline hat fishing that really goes on. The all-time hat fisher is LL Cool J. LL Cool J had fished for a real long time. And I don't know who exactly he was fooling, but we ain't got no picture of LL Cool J before something like 1995 without a hat on. And that's when he switched up to the visor, which I thought was a bold move because keep it real. Whoo, boy, that is una cabeza grande.
See, See, certain things do sound a lot better in Spanish and drive home the point more. Okay, so but that's the weird thing about Ben Johnson is he has hair.
He does.
But when you see him in these Bears clips going around, he's smiling too. I don't know. There's something very different about his vibe.
Nothing about him is exactly what you would expect, right? Like, for example, his name is Ben Johnson, and he a redhead. That don't happen nearly as much as it once did. He's the super nerd who also played quarterback in college. Like, I didn't expect him to sound like such a normal person when he was talking. I want to be clear on what my Ben Johnson issues are. Again, as I have returned to fandom, like I get a rush of some of them feelings that the rest of these people get, right? I feel like my concern about Ben Johnson is a concern that you could relate to because I feel like we're somewhat kindred spirits in this regard, okay? Now, I say this both with confidence and a measure of vulnerability, and I ask you to share it with me, right? Like, it's a couple big brains on this podcast right here, for better or worse. You know, like this is a fairly big brained combination that we have talking right now. But I feel like you and I are comfortable with the size of our brains and that we don't need to show it to you all the time. And therefore, we just talk and have regular conversations without the facetious intention of you knowing how big the brains are on this show. I feel like Ben Johnson, old big brain ass, had the smallest brain on the offense throw a back-legged pass in the most important moment of the season. And I take that to mean he might be more concerned with showing us how big his brain is than just doing the job. That's my concern.
I do find it hard to defend, not trick play, because look, trick play is how they got here, right? Like, so much about what the Lions do and did and all that, like, is sticking to their identity, and it's like you can't create. For example, the Goff's the fumble, not the interception, was on 3rd and 1, and he was empty. And I saw some folks got mad. They're like, "Wait, how are you going to put him in empty on 3rd and 1? Your Jahmyr Gibbs getting what he wants." Well, they're going to go for it on 4th down. That's why he's an empty on 3rd. Like, they're a lot of the things that went wrong for them in that game went wrong for y'all because you're. Are you doing the we yet, by the way?
Not on purpose, but on occasion.
It's trickling in a little bit of we.
It's happened.
Okay.
It's happened.
I love this. So a lot of the things that went wrong, which basically was just all Jared Goff, let's be real. I'm like, I can't blame Ben Johnson for letting him drop back at all, right? Because he was mostly running. And by the way, every drive where Goff didn't turn it over, they scored a freaking touchdown. So it wasn't like some offensive collapse. The trick play, though, is hard for me to defend, specifically for the exact reason you outlined, which is not the idea of a trick. I liked Jameson Williams so much as a prospect.
But
you got to know your guys, right? And yeah, that one was a little bit of a failure of self-scouting.
Hold on, to be fair, though, I realized
tough.
His options were the guy who got caught placing bets from the team facility.
I didn't want to say it. Yeah.
That's what happened with Jameson Williams. And he got caught for PEDs. Like, it's just all bad judgment. But on the other hand, the other boy is the one with that stupid hair.
Wait.
Yeah, like, I find that I'm at the point in my journey. People got mad at me for saying this about Jaden Daniels. Like, look, when I was a kid, you didn't have to worry about quarterbacks having stupid hair. It wasn't an option. The older I get, the more I look at young people and think their hair is stupid. And I'm on Ross St. Brown with the Honolulu blue hair. Son, that is stupid hair.
You know what, though? That hair, too, like, when you win, it's cool. When it loses, you look like... You know, like when fans paint their faces and they have to walk out the stadium after they lose, and you're like, damn, it sucks to lose, but it must suck a lot if your entire face is painted. That's how I feel when I see the hair. Yeah, it's tough. I would have rather had him run it, though. I don't know if he can throw.
Yes. I don't either. He threw it off his back foot. Like, and is it Ben Johnson's fault that he threw it off his back foot? Yes. And it's his fault because that was on the board. That was always on the board that Jameson Williams would somehow make this harder than it had to be. Hold on. And this is after he tried to do it to the ground when he scored that one touchdown.
You're still processing this.
I am.
That's how I know you really cared. It's been a couple podcasts.
I didn't actually see him try to hump the ground. I had stopped paying attention. I flew off my couch when he threw that pass because I knew nothing good was going to happen. Nothing good was going to happen. I'm going to ask the Google a question right fast. Is Jameson Williams a Kappa? Because I saw him humping the ground like that.
This is out of my purview.
Nah. You would, if I showed you a Kappa, you would know them. The ones that walk around with the red and white canes.
I'm familiar with it, but I meant having an opinion about it is outside.
God. Yeah. I can.
Can I say something though about one more thing about the Lions? Maybe this will bring us to another subject I know you wanted to get into. Look, largely I do not blame Ben Johnson outside of that one play, if that's not obvious from the way I'm talking about this game. Unfortunately, I think the killer in the room is the one who's going to be on your team next year. Not to say Jared Goff, he had a bad game. He's had a great season. I've seen folks blaming Aaron Glenn. I'm like, excuse me, Aaron Glenn would have used me as a pass rusher in that game. Like, what are we like? Did you see the depth chart somebody put up during the game? Not only obviously all season, they were losing guys in, like they lost to Meek Robertson in the game.
Yes.
It's just he just ran out of humans out there.
Yeah, he almost broke his arm off. Like, I think Aaron Glenn is a good head coach for the Jets to hire, though I wouldn't want to be a head coach that bad, I don't think. But I have said, and I think people misunderstood my point, I think he did a good job. But yeah, I do think we can find somebody else to give up 45 points in that game. Like, I don't think he's irreplaceable. You know, I think I'd like to have him, but I don't think he's irreplaceable. And I'm trying to ride that out also with Ben Johnson. Just the idea that I don't think these fellas are irreplaceable. But no, I'm not blaming Aaron Glenn for those 45 points because they really were just getting anybody who could run backwards. Could you please come out here? I'm surprised they didn't ask Teddy Bridgewater to go out there and play safety.
I really wanted Teddy Bridgewater to finish the game.
I kind of did too, and I think by the time it was over, so did Detroit.
Yeah. The defense thing, by the way, I think the offense is going to be harder to replace Johnson, to be honest. Defense, I feel like they're going to just be better because of obviously get Hutchinson and everybody back next year. So whoever is the defensive coordinator, I know they got some people on staff that some folks I know are high on will just naturally get a bounce from that. But I mean, I liked the Aaron Glenn hire for the Jet. I try not to again be too strong about whether someone's gonna have success or not. Obviously, it's a pretty bad situation, but I think they could have done a lot worse. I'll say that. I like the pairing of him and the team. I
like it for the Jets.
Oh, yeah, not for him. Yeah.
I don't like it for my H-Town brethren. Like that's the But you don't want to be Byron Leftwich. You had your chance to get a head coaching job, and now you out here handing out orange slices at your son's football game because you ain't got no team to coach.
Yeah, I mean these jobs. I don't know why folks are always like, "Oh, it's shocking when you hold out." No one's holding. Ben Johnson was the weird exception for that. Nobody holds out for jobs. It happens so rarely.
All right, we're gonna come back, talk about one more job and also championship games. The NBA is in full swing and the NFL playoffs have begun, which means you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite teams only on Prize Picks. You can make a Prize Picks lineup between the NFL and the NBA in as little as 60 seconds. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 fantasy sports app. But rather than hearing it from me, let's hear from an expert picker. Sean, how them picks been going?
I think I'm only an expert picker because I pick so much. But, with the NBA and NFL heating up, it's hard not to keep picking. And with Prize Picks, I can make picks between both leagues. And with the flex play, I can still cash out if my lineup isn't perfect. And as always, make sure you stick around for the end of each show to hear my upcoming picks. And if you know me, you know I'm always picking more.
So make sure you go to prizepicks.com/Bomani and use code Bomani for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/Bomani. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Peloton has what you need to keep you on track to your goals no matter what season of life you're in. Peloton helped me recover from my injury, and now I'm back in the gym using all the great stuff Peloton has to offer. Peloton has all sorts of classes depending on how hard you want to train. If you want to take it easy some days, you can take a lighter cycling or cardio class to help you with your recovery. They have programs to keep you on track, from strength training programs you can use at the gym to meditation and yoga for the postgame. Plus, you can challenge yourself anywhere with Peloton's all-access membership. You can work out where you need to, like at home, on your bike, tread and row, or take your favorite classes on the go and at the gym with the app. The app is super convenient, and I genuinely use it every week. And for me, I can really speak to Peloton's wide range of stretching and recovery classes, which are perfect to get my body moving at 100%. So make sure you download the Peloton app. Find your push, find your power with Peloton at onepeloton.com. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Sean, it's 2025, which means everyone attempts to start their New Year's resolutions. Sean, you have any resolutions?
Well, for me, Bo, I never usually have a resolution because I know it's hard to keep it going past February. And in 2025, maybe you're ready for a plot twist, or maybe there's a part of your story that you've been wanting to revise. But life isn't about resolutions that fade by February. It's about picking up the pen and becoming the author of your own life. Think of your therapy as your editorial partner, helping you write new chapters and create the meaningful story you deserve to live.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit BetterHelp.com/Bomani today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Bomani. All right, so Mina, this is, we're recording this Thursday around noon on the East Coast. By this time, I believe it will be official that Brian Schottenheimer is the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And here I was thinking Jerry was afraid he was going to die and that he needed to hurry up and win a championship before it happened. And now apparently he's got like a 30-year plan.
I have lost the belief. It's been a while now that winning matters to the Dallas Cowboys. Or that, let me rephrase that. That winning is the priority. Now, assuming publicity and business and attention, let's call it attention is the priority. The Schottenheimer hire doesn't really fit that either. Right. That would have been like Dion, I guess, is the one name comes to mind. But I think that for Jones, for Jerry, like it's attention, like there's winning, attention, and then like loyalty is maybe above winning. And the idea that he was going to go internal makes a ton of sense to me.
Okay.
I
can see that.
I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, I can see that. It's just literally no one's ever been happy to have Brian Schottenheimer as the offensive coordinator ever. Didn't you have Brian Schottenheimer as your offensive coordinator before?
Yeah, it was great until it wasn't. By the way, speaking of visors, that man wore a visor in like 2018 he might still wear a visor. I don't know. Really married to that look. Josh McDaniels was the big visor.
Yes, he's
too,
very
right?
married to it.
By
the way, he is the worst case scenario Ben Johnson comp. I think you and I agree about that one.
Yeah, but he had all the Patriots way players hate him. True. Shit. I've not heard of any players disliking Ben Johnson. I haven't seen that out there. So key point of differentiation between them. But yeah, so with the Seahawks, Schottenheimer actually called one of the most productive offenses of the Russell Wilson era until teams just started playing like split safety coverages and Russell Wilson just like stopped being able to throw it downfield and it kind of all fell apart. But I don't think he's bad per se at his job. I just don't feel like it's never ever occurred to me that he would be like a head coach.
Right. Look, he got a last name we recognize, and it done took this long for somebody to make him a head coach. That means that shit just wasn't in the cards. Like, is there a single other owner who would have hired Brian Schottenheimer to be their head coach? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't. You know what's weird too? Maybe you'll disagree with me here. I thought the Cowboys' job was a good one.
It's not bad.
It's
You've
only
got
better
a
than the
quarterback.
Jets.
Like, you've got some of the most important pieces that there are to have. Working with Jerry, I guess, is its own situation. But they have, what do we say now in football? The three most important pieces are what? Quarterback, edge rusher, and a number one receiver?
Yeah, I would say offensive line. Probably.
Yeah,
but they
tackle,
got those three things. So, yeah. They have good players.
They don't have enough of them. I think we would agree there that, like, their best players are as good as anybody else's best players. It's their tier 2 that feels a little depleted.
Yeah, they got a lot of work to do in the line of scrimmage. You need more pass catchers, but and then those contracts are big. Although you can restructure Dak and whatever. They'll pay Micah, but yeah, it's not a bad situation. I would also say, like, when I said that, I made a little video about it and I had them near the top. Folks were like, well, Jerry Jones. And it's like, you don't like Jerry Jones, but I actually think for a head coach, it's not a bad deal. He takes most of the attention and heat. He seems loyal to a fault, frankly.
He is.
I don't know. I would have thought somebody good would have wanted that job.
Yeah, I talked to somebody who had a pretty good job over there at the Cowboys once. And his point was, like, in all his travels in business, and it stretches beyond football, he was like, nah, Jerry, like, these other guys could learn something about loyalty from Jerry.
Yeah. We all saw the Landman speech.
That's right. Jerry, hey, look, Jerry, the people who were surprised that Jerry Jones would be good on camera must be new here.
Yeah. Well, you see that he, like, improvised it too. Once I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
The real test, yes, they got to get Jerry, like, saying something he doesn't actually believe.
Yes.
See how that, right?
I don't know if he's capable of that.
Yeah. Right.
No one's ever accused Jerry of lying. Right? Like, Jerry got his issues. Lying ain't been one of them. But I want to ask you, we got football games coming up this weekend. Is there, I think the Eagles can do this as long as Jalen Hurts isn't, like, really, really hurt. Yeah. But I do think it's possible that he's really, really hurt. Like, that looked really bad in the course of it. Can you see the scenario in which Washington wins this? Because I don't feel like Washington can stop them from running. And then I don't know if anybody can do anything with Jalen Carter, the menace.
Yeah. And Washington is down their starting right guard. So,
yes.
Jalen Carter, to me, is on track. I don't want to put him in, like, the Aaron Donald, Chris Jones tier just yet, obviously. But that's the track. Like, he is right now, after Jones, best defensive lineman left in the thinking about both sides, both teams. Yeah, I would probably put him as the second best defensive lineman in the entire postseason. He's remarkable. And I expect Philadelphia, I think they're going to win. But your question was, does Washington have a chance, right? If Hurts is really hurt. And I do think so. Going back, though, and watching the Week 16 win where Hurts also got hurt, right? You remember that? And the Eagles were dominating them, and then they weren't able to run the ball because the Commanders sold out to stop the run once Kenny Pickett went in, so they couldn't control it. And then there was a bunch of, like, uncharacteristic coverage busts, too many men on the field. C.J. Gardner-Johnson got kicked out, which, to be fair, it might happen again.
Yeah, that's always on the board.
Always on the board. Always a possibility. But I don't see that happening again with this Eagles defense. I mean, that's the thing, to go off of Carter. Like, this Eagles defense is so clearly, to me, the best defense left in the postseason. They're phenomenal. They're well coached. So I just think, setting aside the Hurts injury, it's hard for me to imagine things playing out that way. Then the other thing is, and you alluded to this, Commanders' run defense is really not great. I mean, the Lions are running at will on them. They really, outside zone in general, and in particular, they struggle to stop. And if they sell out against the run, all you just need is A.J. Brown to look more like A.J. Brown than he has these last two games. And I'm going to bet on that, even if Hurts is banged up. There's no way A.J. Brown is going to have the kind of drops that he has had. So I do think the Eagles are just a significantly better team.
Do you think that there is a possibility that what the Eagles are doing with Jalen Hurts will maybe kind of change the way that teams view the role of the quarterback in building a program? Because, look, he's not bad, but he is not very good. And I don't think that the likelihood is that he will become very good. He had that very good season a couple of years ago. But, I mean, we've seen how this goes with him.
Yeah.
And they have a team that can win a Super Bowl. Like, it's not a place where, at least for me, it used to be where I'd look at Alex Smith as a great example. I don't care how many games you win, you're not going to win the Super Bowl with Alex Smith as your quarterback. Like, that would be the way that I would refer to him. Kirk Cousins is a guy like that. Jalen Hurts is not, I don't say that about him. I don't believe that you can't win a Super Bowl with him, but I don't think you're going to win a Super Bowl because of him either.
Yeah, well, let me phrase it this way. There's 4 teams left. If you put Jalen Hurts on any of the other teams, do you think they would have a chance of winning the Super Bowl?
No.
Right. Now, to your point, though, that doesn't mean he isn't capable of making big plays in the context of the Philadelphia offense, which is kind of designed around him in some ways as well. And with their dominant run game, they benefit from having a mobile quarterback. So we'll see what that mobility looks like. It's an interesting one, Bo, because the Eagles basically have clearly the best roster, right, left. And you wonder, like, if they were to go back and do it again, would you give Hurts that second contract? Clearly, they've been able to make it work. They've been drafting really well, the way they structure their deals. But it's a little tricky, don't you think?
But if they hadn't given him the second contract, who is their quarterback? Because right behind him on the bench is worst case scenario on, I think we might have another quarterback here, because that Kenny Pickett is cheeks.
Dude, I think McKee is better. Their other third back, I don't know what, I guess he'll be designated as an I don't know. Actually, it'll be interesting with Hurts' injury. But I actually, watching him play, because they both have gotten some reps, I was like, he looks a little bit better than Pickett. But yeah, it's a great point. Like, it's easy for us to say, why would you pay Jalen Hurts? Just draft some guy or sign some guy. But Jalen Hurts is, maybe he's not in the tier of the other 3 quarterbacks in the playoffs, in my opinion. And it's incredible that by Daniels, I already feel that way about him. But he's definitely better than a lot of guys who have been drafted the last few years, a lot of the veterans out there. So they were kind of facing the same problem that every team faces, which is, what do you pay a quarterback who's not one of the 8 best dudes in the league, but is still, in that upper half at minimum?
Yeah, see, this is where these teams, it's the opposite of the running back situation for them, right? Like, the idea that we can go find another one who is good enough, maybe not as good, it makes sense, right? You can go find a good enough running back with the way they design run games and all of this stuff. Yeah, you feel like you can go get you another good enough running back. You cannot just say, we'll go get a quarterback. Like, somebody got in my mentions about Aaron Glenn going to the Jets, and it was like, as long as he gets a quarterback, he'll be fine. I'm like, oh, that's it, huh?
It's been so easy for the Jets, right?
Okay. Glad we're keeping it simple, buddy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that's why you end up paying this fee. It's why it'll happen over and over again, because the downside is too great. The risk is too great of moving on. The running back thing is interesting, right? Because you're absolutely right. Like, you can find a good enough running back. What the Eagles did was they found a great one. And then they added that to a dominant offensive line. And I keep seeing people saying, well, he's going to completely change the market. No, he ain't. No, he's not. 1, the Eagles situation was unusual. 2, Saquon is different, right? Like, I'm looking at the free agent running backs next year. It's like Najee Harris.
Right.
You think Najee Harris is going to get paid a lot because Saquon Barkley was awesome? Yeah, it's different, though. It is different. You're right.
How high are you on the Jaden Daniels wagon?
It's been kind of linear for me, where like every few weeks, my estimation grows. And I think what's most amazing about watching him, other than all the things that are very obvious to people and gets talked about a lot, especially like the calmness and processing in the face of pressure, is probably the number one thing. He does things in the NFL he didn't do in college. I don't know if people quite grasp that. I liked him a lot as a prospect, but I had some questions about, 1, his ability to deal with pressure. In college, he wasn't really making plays outside of structure. He was just sitting back in that perfect pocket throwing goal ball, right? Or he was a designed runner. Watching him, though, in the pros, like, it's incredible to me. Like, the plays he's making on his own, the creativity, and then you and I have talked about this, the fact that he's been fairly durable and also avoided a lot of the same hits he took in college. That's not supposed to happen. You get to the NFL and guys are bigger and faster, and you get your ass kicked for trying some of the stuff you did in college. With Daniels, it's almost been the opposite. He makes NFL players look slow and has avoided, although he took a pretty bad a couple weeks ago, but he has for the most part been pretty damn elusive, and I'm just stunned by how good he's been.
Going into that draft, and you had people that said that they like Daniels over Caleb Williams. And I think that Caleb Williams had been so good as a sophomore that we ignored there are some questions to be had, right? About what he could do. And the questions are still there. I'm still high on him. I still think it'll work out well, but I think you'd have to be really dedicated to being right to say that you are sure that Caleb Williams is still going to be as good
I'm not
as Jaden
sure.
Daniels.
I'm not sure. Even the ceiling for Caleb is still there, and I'm with you. I think he'll be fine. I really do. I think I saw enough this season to make me not lose hope. But I had Williams over Daniels, and I'm not sticking to that.
Yeah.
Stubbornly.
Well, I think the thing that I think speaks the most to me about Jaden Daniels is, and maybe it's just different because this guy's job has changed, but every year, Cliff Kingsbury offense come out here like gangbusters, and by the end of the year, everybody catches up. This happened every year that he was at Arizona, and it felt like it was happening in the middle of the season for a little bit, and then it didn't happen.
That is the so Daniels. I was like, I don't know. We'll see. That's the bigger L for me personally. I was like, Cliff Kingsbury, get back to me in December. I'm sorry. The Arizona experience left me as an extreme skeptic. And I'm telling you, this last game, I thought he called a hell of a game. And granted, against the aforementioned Bad News Bears, or, I was looking up some of the names of the Lions players, so I didn't know. There's quite a few. But I thought, gave him consistently great answers versus it was a lot of college stuff too, RPOs, spread to run, but I think he has been very good for him, and the offense has evolved a little bit as the year has gone on in interesting ways. So we'll see. I'm gonna wait before I do a full apology to we'll see how give me next year, but he has been a lot better than I thought, for sure.
All right, you ready for the Rumble in Kansas City? I don't know. We need to come up with some kind of name for it. I had all kinds of fun analogies for the game last week. It don't work the same way with Patrick Mahomes, right? It don't feel so much like all the comparisons that I had made before. But this is gonna be a hoot.
A hoot.
A hoot.
I am tentatively very optimistic this is going to be close and awesome. Going back and watching the game from earlier in the season, and then the last time they played the postseason, I think that the Bills match up better with this version of the Chiefs than they ever have. That's with the Chiefs than they ever have. Pardon me. I also think that the Bills quarterback, is playing in a way that he has at times played, but the level of consistency he has shown over the course of the season makes me think it's going to be what we see in this game. So I'm very optimistic for Buffalo I don't want to sound like I'm rooting for Buffalo. Although it seems like if you polled America right now, what would it be, 90 Buffalo, 10 Kansas City?
Part of that is that Kansas City has become, in its own way, the Patriots, right? They're always up top. Also, for reasons that I am not currently ascribing to sinister motivations. However, people really like that Josh Allen fella. I really like that Josh Allen fella. I think people I do think would like to see, in wrestling parlance, they'd like to see Josh Allen get over. I think they would like to see that.
The post game with Lamar got me, and I was like, am I soft? Did it get you a little bit when they walk up to each other and they're hugging? The Josh is you're the greatest to ever do it, and Lamar's like, go get him. And I was like,
I felt like it was good of both of them, because if I'm Lamar, I might call you later. I'll dap you up right here. I do what I got to do in this moment, but I ain't got no go get him right now. Go get Mark. Don't you go try to win something with him.
Oh my God. I think you're right though about Allen. There's a lot going on there. But also, let me ask you this, because you've been in this business for a long time. A lot of the peak Patriots was kind of pre-social media. Like it was like some of it, the second run was obviously the Twitter existed and whatnot. But do you feel like the Chiefs are more or less hated than the Brady Patriots?
I would definitely say less because
Really?
because they haven't been caught doing all the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
And number two, there was nothing to like about the Patriots other than winning. Like, think about this. All that winning that the Patriots did, and they did not become a national brand. They did not become a situation where whenever the Patriots show up, the place is full of Patriots fans.
This is interesting. You know, when you go abroad, which is like a good barometer for that, you don't really see a lot of, like when you go to like Mexico and watch a game, it's a lot of Packers, it's a lot of 49ers, it's a lot of Cowboys. I guess some of that is probably regional, but yeah, Raiders, yeah. You're not seeing a lot of Patriots fans overseas.
No.
I hear you. I think there's some veracity to that. Do you feel, though, the opposite? Do you feel like the Chiefs have some? I
feel like they are starting to approach gets all the calls status.
To approach.
Hold on, though. Here's something for
That's
you.
all anyone talks about now. It's actually quite annoying.
Right, but this is where it's very interesting. Something my buddy Nick brings up. You know what quarterback since 2018, which is Mahomes' first year as a starter, has drawn the most roughing the passer calls?
Is it Josh Allen?
Sure is. Now, look, at some point, people going to have to be honest about some of these correlative factors on some of this stuff.
So we did a preview, and Ben Solak on my pod made a point, which is, on one hand, this game, two of arguably the greatest quarterbacks of our generation. You know, it's an incredible matchup, and like they're obviously amazing. They're also arguably the two biggest floppers in the NFL. Like, I feel like Josh, I don't know why, like, people don't talk about it as much. That dude plays the refs. And you know what? More credit to him. I wish my quarterback played the refs. This is clearly a good strategy. He complains a lot to the officials.
I think Josh Allen's in a trick bag that I think one could use to perhaps explain the roughing the passer calls, which is, if you are going to try to take him down, I think I may have said this on the show. I know I said it somewhere else. But if you're going to try to take him down, you got to dial it up.
Yeah.
You can't just think you're about to wrap your arms around him. And number 23 ain't about to make this happen. Number 27, number 8, those, no. I need to see number 59 in here. You got a long day coming. You out here trying to bring Josh Allen down. And so I think that is
takes a lot of
kind
violence.
of the Shaquille O'Neal situation. Cam Newton was different, though. Like, the things that Cam Newton dealt with, they just wasn't giving him the calls. But I do think that when you're as big as Josh Allen, I could understand to a degree that you got to give a ref some hints.
He's, like, unsackable, which is part of the reason why. I mean, it's a huge, huge reason why he's become so he's good for a lot of reasons, but Mahomes has been unsackable, but for different reasons. He just is, you know, it's kind of like Lamar, where he like escapes pressure in a different way. But yeah, Allen is so hard to bring down and create negative plays. And you're right, it probably does take a little bit of extra oomph for defenses to do it against him. I just think this version of him is so funny. Like, you know, obviously the lead up to him and Lamar was about the MVP, right? And the toxicity between the fan bases and all that. He threw one pass over 10 yards in that game. And he was good.
Yeah, he wasn't really that good.
I mean, he was fine. He took care of the football. He did he played winning football. And again, to kind of go back to this next week, I think the way he's playing now does match up very well with Kansas City. But it's just, he's become a completely different person out there. And it's just so funny.
Hold on. He almost did it. He almost did it. He said he didn't almost did it, and that's a lie. He was wrapped up at that goal line. He almost tried to make that pitch. And it is amazing to me how them people on TV be trying to act like that shit is cool. They're like, oh, he just wants to make a play. You know who else just wanted to make a play? Jameson Williams. It was stupid. It would have been stupid.
He didn't do it, though. He didn't do it. I would love to get inside his brain in those moments.
No telling what's going on in there. But I give him credit. I've never seen anybody make himself a better player. than Josh Allen has.
Yeah.
While everybody else was lying about him, he was not lying about himself. He went out there. Was it Aaron Rodgers' brother or is it Carson Palmer's brother he'd be out there with?
I don't know. I think Palmer. I think he was training.
They
Palmer.
both Jordans. I can't remember which Jordan it is, but I know he was out there working with one of them Jordans.
Yeah. No, it's unbelievable. It's but then even when he does, like in the previous round, the Ty Johnson touchdown, which by the way is one of the most impressive catches from a running back I've ever seen. And it's 4th and 2. Josh is running around back there. But didn't you feel like, because you're watching the TV, so you can't see Ty Johnson, so you see Josh Allen running around back there, and didn't you feel like it was going to work out? Because now when he picks his spots to go YOLO, it usually works, or nothing stupid happens because he just throws it away. So I'm watching that, I'm thinking like, this will probably work out, which is a crazy feeling.
Well, now that I have a team that I root for, that also means I have the experience now of watching some of these players play against my team. And I can tell you that when Josh Allen was doing all that running around and I was just watching the game, it was one thing. When I watched him do it against my team, leading them to a victory at Ford Field, it lands a little different. It's a little more terrifying.
At a place so close and dear to your heart for so long. How dare you?
Day one, man. I've been here since the one day that mattered. The day that Big Dan showed up. Don't none of the rest of that stuff matter. Don't nobody want to think about that. You know what I'm saying?
How you feeling about Jared next year?
So
have you turned on him?
I talked about this on the show the other day, and I have to just remind myself, only one team wins. He's been very good. He played at a Pro Bowl, All-Pro level this year. He had a bad game. He has been to a Super Bowl before. What else are we going to do? What's the other option? I wasn't very happy with him. But again, the play that infuriated me the most, he didn't throw the interception.
That little speech you just gave was the equivalent of Josh Allen not lateraling the football, because you, sir, have changed. Fandom has changed you. Because if you weren't a Lions fan and I came on and I asked about Jared Goff turning the ball over 3 times and putting up a stinker in the postseason, you would have said, can't win with him, same old Goff. But you have fan brain now because you know you are tied to him next year. So that was a little compromise going on.
But I have the good kind of fan brain, I believe. I have the reasonable, healthy, zen-like fan brain.
Nice.
A friend described me the other day as being, I believe, sanguine is the word.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
like that is the... I mean, it is fair to ask the question of if you could win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. However, he's at a conference full of quarterbacks that you can't win a Super Bowl with.
Yo.
Apparently, the only one that any of us
wild.
Yeah, the only quarterback that I believe at this point that the only team in the NFC that truly feels excellent about their quarterback is Washington.
Rams, but yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like they feel good about their quarterback, but that one could crap out at any moment.
He might retire.
And he's still got that YOLO in him too. He's Carson Palmer. Everything looks like a quarterback should look, and every now and then he just gets a little bored and just decides, hey, I'm gonna give you a chance.
Someone pointed out to me, because Matthew Stafford really struggled at the end of the season. I think he had some injuries, but somebody pointed out to me that for an opposing team, the worst thing you want to face is Matthew Stafford just coming off of playing 3 shitty games, because that means he's about to turn into Matthew Stafford world distort. It's like once you never know when it's going to happen, but like once every 3 games, he's just the best quarterback on earth. And then you just don't know.
We've been waiting on a consistent Matthew Stafford for literally 20 years.
That's your bitter Lions fandom coming out.
No. It's actually not. It is not bitter Lions fan. It is the least scrutinized, can't miss generational prospect, number 1 pick of all time. Somehow, and maybe this is the new Lions fan in me, somehow none of what went down, everything was going against him with the Lions. Even when he was throwing the ball to bums like Calvin Johnson. Everything was always against him. I'll just say they are a lot better with Jared Goff than they ever were with Matthew Stafford. He is incredibly talented and has always been inconsistent enough to be as much part of the problem as the solution.
By the way, you said a couple of things there. One, 2 questions for you. One, would you swap back?
Like the whole trade itself?
No. Just next year, someone said, hey, we can switch. We'll take Goff back. You take Stafford. Would you do it?
Yeah. You can do that. That's fine.
Okay. No. Second question. You said he was the least scrutinized number 1 generational pick. Would you say Trevor Lawrence, though?
Oh, no. His reckoning is on the way.
But don't you feel like he maybe fits even more in that category than Stafford? Because
this is the difference, is that Stafford didn't pan all the way out in college. Yeah. Like, this started with Stafford. The same way it started with Lawrence in high school, it started with Stafford in high school. And Stafford, you can make the argument, was never the best quarterback in the SEC while he was at Georgia. Trevor Lawrence, at least at Clemson, was the Trevor Lawrence that he was supposed to be. But no, his reckoning, I think that people have raised way more questions about why Trevor Lawrence hasn't been better than were ever raised about Matthew Stafford.
Well, but Matthew Stafford just shows if you wait long enough for an elite guy.
That's what I was about to say. Matthew Stafford, who has been to, hold on, let me look this up, because every time somebody wants to send him to the Hall of Fame, I am like, sure, because what the Hall of Fame needs is a 2-time Pro Bowl quarterback.
Oh, with Pro Bowls. Get out of here.
2 times. And I'm saying this, you can criticize Pro Bowl voting all you want. All I'm saying is your Hall of Fame quarterback should be at least so good that you can't just let it be. Vince Young has been to 2 Pro Bowls.
I actually don't know if I've thought through the Stafford Hall of Fame case.
They're going to put him in. They're going to put him in. They're going to put Eli in, and I'm going to be outside that motherfucker protesting. I'll be the one that stand on business and say that this is preposterous. Kirk Cousins, 4-time Pro Bowler.
Phillip Rivers,
who that's my I don't know what to do with him when the Hall of Fame comes around.
I lean yes there.
That
one I had thought through a while back. I think when
Phillip Rivers, 8-time Pro Bowler.
I mean, he was just so good for so long.
Yep, he just played for the Chargers.
What a reminder, by the way, of the postseason. Chargers still Chargers. You know, I saw all these people like, oh, Jim Harbaugh, new thing.
Yep, it's my new thing. Just because you improved doesn't mean you changed. And in some cases, you haven't improved. I'm looking at you, Justin Herbert.
There's not enough time left for me to defend Justin Herbert to you.
That's another day. Your boy Herb. That's what I got. I'm starting to call him Herb. Herb ain't bringing. But
it's just one game. Anyone can have a bad game. You talked about Jared Goff.
I'm going to have to cut it now because this is about to be a thing in here. That is Mina Kimes. You can check her out on the Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny. You can check her out on NFL Live. Anywhere else for the people to check you out?
Those are the main ones. We got some show-related news for LA folks. So if you live in LA, just kind of stay tuned. I guess I'll post about it on my socials. Some exciting thing is coming up. So yeah, check it out. And
I have not talked to you since you did the Netflix broadcast on Christmas. And I definitely have to say, it's one thing to see you on television. It is another thing to see you in that particular position of giving the halftime analysis of the X's and O's of football for such an audience. Like, that was a really, really big thing. I hope you enjoyed and appreciate what that was. This is where I get to be a little bit of a doting older man here.
Not that much older. I appreciate it very much. We started this by talking about like performance anxiety and being kind of out there versus in the crowd. The one thing I am very grateful for is it didn't occur to me until after the fact that I was following Beyonce. And if I had thought about that in the moment, it would have been a complete meltdown with my little 45 seconds on CJ Stroud struggling. And then afterwards, when they sent us like the Beyonce numbers, I was like, oh no.
America met you. I appreciate your brief moment of making me feel younger than I actually am. That was real cool of you.
You're not that much older than me, but thank you as always. I appreciate. That's really nice of you to say.
All good. Sean, you got the prize picks for the people?
Yeah, real quick, NFL Conference Championships. I got Jaden Daniels. Thanks to Prize Picks, zero point 0.5 pass yards. All he needs to do is throw more than that, and you get a nice win there. Saquon Barkley, 0.5 rush reception touchdowns. I'll take more there. James Cook, same number, 0.5 rush reception touchdowns. I'll take more there. And same goes for Jalen Hurts. I envision a tush push in the end zone for that guy.
All right, and ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this thing here 3 times a week. That's Sean Yu. He handles everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Remember, hit the voicemail line, 323-596-7767, in line with Jameson Williams, the dumbest decision you've seen somebody make at your job, 323-596-7767. Remember, follow The Right Time, subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. And we'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.